ecosexuality, would anybody like to share what comes to your mind, why it rings a bell, why is it interesting? Anybody?
Because the earth is sexy.
The earth is sexy. Great. Thank you. Okay.
How about making love to the earth instead of fucking it?
Making love to the earth instead of fucking it. Right, I'm sure she will like that. Yes.
All the food we eat is a result of sex.
Yes.
Exactly. All the food we eat is a result of sex. Yes. Anything else? Yes.
When you make love, you connect to your higher self, and when you make love to Mother Earth, you reach that higher self on a whole new level.
You reach the higher self when you make love to Mother Earth on a higher level. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all so much for these contributions. I want to say one thing that occurs to me as I hear you. Plants have flowers, and a flower is a plant's genital, right? They don't hide them.
We eat them. Strawberries are
We eat them, we cut them, we admire them. We have a bunch here, right? But they don't hide them. They're very proud of their genitals. And, you know, there's something that we ecosexuals can learn is really to admire and perhaps imitate other species who are maybe wiser than us precisely because they're making love to the earth, they're not fucking her. So the way I want to start this is by evoking a trope, an idea that is familiar to a lot of people when we think of sacred sexuality or sexuality as a spiritual path to enlightenment or healing, or sexuality in relation to health. And that's Tantra. Tantra means a lot of different things to different people. But just to have a transition from something that's perhaps more familiar to something that's newer, we can say that as a spiritual path, Tantra is what finds the sacred sexual essence of every human being. In other words, in a tantric spiritual practice, we honor the sacred sexual essence that every human being has. We empower that potential. So when we make the transition to ecosexuality, we are really talking of a way to extend this to Gaia. And by Gaia, what we mean is Gaia is a scientific term, and it's also a mythological term that comes from Greek mythology. But what we mean is the biosphere, everything that constitutes life, that makes the third planet different from our neighbors, Mars and Venus. Everything that constitutes life, that has been life, that will recycle into life, that makes that difference, that makes our planet beautiful and blue and green and white, and not a sort of brown, as in Mars or Venus or gray. So we extend that gift of envisioning that sacred sexual essence to all of life on planet Earth, every element of this life. Okay, and as I said, I am very inspired by the work of Annie Sprinkle and Beth Stevenson. To explain this transition, I'm using their work because their sequence of weddings called Love Art Lab is really a concrete expression of this idea, an artistic expression of this idea. And you see on the right the Love Art Lab. This is their website where all their weddings are recorded. They had 7 years of weddings. Each one had a different chakra color. And in this image to the left, you see how, what the inner landscape and the outer landscape are a reflection, are mirrors of each other. For example, if we have inner conflicts, it will reflect in our behavior. It will reflect in how we perceive others, how we project that onto others. And if we fuck the earth, the earth will not like it and fuck us. In other words, life is more powerful than any species, and we should be aware of that. When life feels that one species is exploiting life, then life prevails. This has happened before. Dinosaurs have been extinct, as we know. So, see, who's moving the slides?
I am.
Okay, so I'll tell you when to go to next, okay? That way you keep the pace. So there is this parallelism, and the way they have moved from the root chakra to the crown chakra in their 7 years of weddings to forces of nature is really an amazing way to extend this, to change the metaphor from earth as mother to earth as lover, but also to really embrace this hostess. Okay, to embrace this hostess, this planet that is hospitable to us. There is nothing granted about that. It's just a gift that we are welcome. And to really understand that at all vibrational and energetic levels through the chakra system and the way the chakras extend to embrace the forces of nature. So we can say that according to this project that they have realized, and we will have more slides of that, we can say that love is the ecology of life. Because really, without love, there would be no life. All life really stems from love. The continuation of life, the recycling of life stems from love. So that love is really what the ecology of life, what makes life circulate, what makes life continue itself. And while it is very important to consider the earth not just as a mother that we can always exploit, as we know, mother is a symbol of exploitation in a lot of cultures. Somebody who's always supposed to give and never receive and never exhaust her resources. From mother to lover, it's a great transition because often we respect our lovers more than our mothers. And also because lovers choose us, whereas, mothers, we're just given to them, and lovers can leave. But there is a way in which mothers and lovers overlap, and that is in hosting us, right? Mothers host us in their belly for 9 months. We live there. And then lovers also open their door, they open their lives to us, they open their inner being, their inner landscape, they let us enter in their lives. So both mothers and lovers are hosts or hostesses for us. And that, therefore, we can also see a correspondence between, it's not an either or. You can be a mother and a lover by being a host or a hostess. So, from very ancient traditions, we know that love is a cosmic energy. Love was not invented by humans. Love comes when life comes. It's the ecology of all life, beginning with bacteria 4 billion years ago, and this is scientifically proven. Scientists like James Lovelock and Lynn Margulis promote this theory. So if love is this cosmic energy that wasn't invented by us humans, that we simply become the vehicle of its circulation as we are alive, then what is a convenient way, what is a way that's meaningful in our day to interpret what love is? Often love is interpreted as a need, like I need love. So when it's interpreted as a need, then there's never enough to go around because everybody's looking for it, but nobody has it to give. So it's a no-win situation. When it's interpreted as an instinct, it's even worse because then people become afraid. Oh my gosh, love, it's this instinct, completely uncontrollable. So it produces fear. Interpreting love as an instinct produces fear in the culture and in people who are part of the culture. But if we interpret love as an art, things begin to shift. Because everybody loves art, because art is a way to train talents, and we all bring different talents to the table of creativity. And once we recognize those talents, we can train them, we can develop them, we can develop their potentials. And so therefore, love interpretation of love as an art is a lot more productive of a society that loves love, because everybody loves love and loves art. Okay, so that's why it's so important to look at these performance weddings, and if you can move to the next, that would be great. So this is the red wedding of 2005. This is related to the root chakra. Okay, I just have a few pictures of these weddings. I want to give an impression of the sequence. The red chakra is associated with security and survival. In fact, this was the year that Annie had breast cancer, and you know, she seems to be doing very well ever since, and apparently it worked. The creativity of art, interpreting love in art, worked even against the most dreaded of one of the most dreaded diseases. So this in 2006 was the orange year. This again is the orange chakra, is the sexual chakra, the chakra of sexuality and creativity. And so you see that the weddings became more creative. Remember that these first weddings were really more a way to promote the marriage equality, promote the legitimacy of same-gender marriage. Then we get to 2007, and we have the third chakra, the chakra of the dantian, this part, and it's courage and power. So this is a yellow wedding. You see how all of these weddings are also a bit of a deconstruction of what a wedding normally is, the construction of marriage in a way. They are performative weddings. They are not, you know, legitimization of any relationship, but then they also sexualize the wedding ceremony. And it's very important to remember, please stay on this, I'll tell you when to move, that in antiquity, the ritual of the wedding happened on the bed. That's where you the sacrament of marriage was the union, the hierogamos, the union of the lovers. It wasn't like you went to church, you consecrated your union, and then you consumed in the bedroom that nobody could see. No, 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 no. The performance, the celebration of the hierogamos was the sacrament. And it's very important to see how they bring that back into the idea of a wedding. A wedding is a performance, a wedding is sexualized. You see how these very interesting, sexy people participate in their performance weddings. So next, please. Okay, this is a very important year in this sequence, 2008. At Shakespeare's Glen at the University of Santa Cruz, here is the fourth chakra, the green chakra, which is, just stay, okay, is the chakra of love, right? Compassion. And of course, it's also the earth, the color of the green movement, the environmental movement. So this is the first time that they include a force of nature in their wedding. In other words, they're marrying the earth. They're not just marrying each other in a performance, but they are performing this marriage to the entire planet. Okay, so if you can continue on these, there's a few more, and then we get to the next year, which is the 2009, and it's the blue chakra. The blue chakra is it's really funny, right? They make it very ironic. That's why I say that they kind of deconstruct the concept of a wedding. They, in a way, they sacralize this union to the forces of nature, but they also desacralize the conventionality of this institution that is, you know, in deep trouble in general. So the blue weddings, this is in Oxford. Remember, we're moving up to the chakra system. We got with the green wedding the heart chakra, that's green, and then the throat chakra is expression, is the blue chakra. And there were a couple of those. This was into the sky, and then this one in Venice, Italy, was to the sea. And remember that here they are also reviving ancient rituals, because apparently Venice has a wedding to the sea from Renaissance traditions, because Venice owes everything to the sea. It was one of the richest republics in the Renaissance world because of the innovation and the commerce. Okay, so then, yeah, a little more on the blue wedding, and you see that more and more performers of all kinds join to sexualize, to make the wedding, per se, playful performance and inclusive, because they all participate in the ceremony with their own different performances. It's not that they're not just wedding guests, they are part of the performance wedding. And again, the inclusiveness of first forces of nature, the earth, the sea, the sky. So then we got to the purple year. Purple is this chakra, I believe. Okay, so purple, intuition and wisdom, right? Intuition and wisdom. And this wedding was in Los Angeles, and it was to the moon. Again, not only the earth, but also its favorite satellite, the moon, is embraced in this ecosexual wedding process as a force of nature, because we know that the moon has a very strong effect on our existence. I mean, the moon can wake you up at night if it's full moon. So then we get to the following year, the white wedding. Keep moving forward. Oh well, these are some of the ephemera of their weddings. Keep going. Oh yeah, this is the first. Okay, this is a very interesting thing, because after this wedding to the moon, the bride had a honeymoon. But the honeymoon was not just, you know, usually in a honeymoon you run away with your lover, nobody can see you, right? Instead, they had a symposium, and we were all part of it. So it was, the honeymoon was the first EcoSex symposium, the day after the wedding in LA. Next. Okay. And the same year, another purple wedding was celebrated to the mountains of Appalachia. Appalachia, is that pronounced it right? Appalachia. Thank you. These mountains are being decapitated. So for coal mining, it's really an environmental disaster, and it's a disaster for the whole area and the population of the area. It's just gruesome to see what is happening to these mountains. So again, marrying these mountains as an effort to save them from, being treated abusively by our species and the greed for energy for coal. And also to awaken the sensibility of the locals and to empower local people to become more active and proactive in defending their territory. This is Beth's birthplace. Okay. Then we get to 2011, the crown chakra. Crown chakra that represents union and bliss. This is a beautiful wedding that happened in Calgary, I think. And it's also a wedding which was official. In other words, it was a legally recognized union, the two of them. And you'll see here this inclusiveness of the wedding as a performance, as a ceremony, with this contortionist. You can't see her very well, but she's naked. I mean, normally you don't have naked guests at your wedding, right? Again, because we are in this separation. First you wed and then you consume. But there's new integration and inclusiveness of what a wedding is. Inclusiveness not only of forces of nature, but of all these performers. And the same year was, wedding, white was the color, but then it also included silver and black. And this is what a wedding to the rocks in Barcelona, and then a wedding to the coal, this was black, in Spain. Okay, I think this is it. Okay, so what can we understand from this, performative sequence about ecosexuality? How can we theorize it based on what they've done? And I use this example because perhaps it's the most glaring, not because there are others that could be interesting. So ecosexual love is a love that embraces nature, the third planet, all of life, as a partner with equal rights. Okay. But obviously, also, because it embraces nature, then it also embraces human nature, because if we are part of nature, then human nature is embraced too, okay? And so it embraces human nature with all of its emanations, including cyber technologies. And remember that cyber technologies, especially social media, are what empowers us to even be here today, this evening in this theater. Well, it's debatable, I agree, but there is a certain factor, there is a certain gravitation. And what activates planetary consciousness, or the noosphere, and this term is used in esoteric philosophies to really indicate the sphere of planetary consciousness. And some people believe that this sphere of planetary consciousness in telepathy, for example, vibrational, energetic connections existed way before cyberspace. Cyberspace simply is an activation of something that pre-existed. Okay, so let me see where we are. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so maybe you can go to the next slide. Okay, so in a way, from this sequence of wedding, we can infer that ecosexual love is beyond gender, it's beyond sexual orientation, it's beyond numbers, because as we've seen, there are a lot of performers who are included in the honeymoon or the wedding, and there are these forces of nature that are way beyond the single person. It's also beyond race, and it's beyond species. Okay, because again, these forces of nature are included as partners with equal rights, and the whole third planet is included. So, in a way, ecosexual love is a utopian, is an experimental type of love. We don't exactly know yet what it is, and we don't want to know too many details because that would limit its potential. We want to let it evolve and expand. Okay. So there is, on the one hand, there is this shift between, shifting of the metaphor from mother to lover, and that's what is mostly defined as ecosexuality, the project of ecosexuality, at least in this series of performance weddings. But there is a little more, and that's what I bring in, speaking more of the language of polyamory, which is another interest of mine and practice. Compersion is this spirit of polyamory, as I often call it, is this ability to enjoy the joy that our lovers experience regardless of where it comes from. And it's really key to expanding and to really beginning to reinterpret love as an art and as a cosmic force, as the ecology of life. Because it is the wish that those we love get the love they want, even if we cannot give it to them. And you know, and the capability to really stay in that place of love, even when we can only witness it from afar. We are not called to participate or benefit from it in a direct way. And if you think about it, all the loves that all life has experienced and that has been the ecology of this continuation of life that we are part of, is being witnessed. By whom? Who is the witness? Right. Who is the container? Right. Who is the hostess? Okay. So that's where I really want to bring this idea of compersion into the discourse of ecosexuality, because really our most compersive lover is always and already Gaia. There is no other lover as compersive as Gaia. And if you think of compersion as sometimes a bit of a form of endurance, because it's not always pleasant to witness your lovers being loved by others and not really, not really participating, or at least only contemplating from afar, which can be very pleasant. Then, if you consider how much abuse our species has perpetrated on the environment that sustains us, on the habitat that makes our life possible, then you begin to get the measure of the compersion that we receive every day. And in the Romantic movement, for example, around the 18th to 19th century, the big French Revolution, there was this revival of this idea of nature. Lovers gave up all the artificiality of the previous time, and they contemplated the moon. And you have scenes of poetry where, to people who don't even have a language, you come and start loving each other. Why? Because the moon and the ocean is the vehicle of their love. Love always happens in a context. It could be a leather bar. It's a context. Any context, love always is vehicled by some element that constitutes this habitat, this ecology of life that contains us all. So it's important to remember that. It doesn't matter what the container is. All containers really lead to this awareness that we are not alone, that love is never exclusive, but it always includes whatever element hosts it, vehicles, whatever energetic or vibrational space enables it. So Gaia is our most compersive lover. We're almost done, but I think there's another slide. Yeah, let's experiment with this.
Yeah.
Thank you. With you and being present to this group. And I would like to take some questions if there is still time. I'm not aware of how much time I've used.
I think it's about 15 minutes or so.
Okay, yes, I would be happy to take some questions. Yes?
A little bit about what compersion is and how examples of its manifestation.
Yes, in polyamory discourse, compersion was invented as a word to say that it's the opposite of jealousy. Okay, so that's a simple definition. But it's a little more complicated. In my view, compersion is an experience that involves expanding the range of emotions we can call love and expanding the range of sensations we can call pleasure. When we begin to do that, it's a synchronic process. The more we expand the range of sensations we can call pleasure, the more we expand the range of emotions we can call love. So it involves a movement of energy from the root chakras to the sex chakras and all the other chakras, including mainly the heart chakra. And it's a way to transmute that sense of when we feel jealous, we feel really humiliated, excluded, stupid, bad. It's just a very unpleasant place to be emotionally. But instead of projecting and say, oh, you made me jealous, you are wrong, you deserve to be punished, blah, 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 we begin to really process that emotion and say, why is it that I want to deprive this person that I love from experiencing pleasure that can make this person a happier person and maybe a better lover for myself as well. So in a way, compersion is something that when it happens at the individual level and it also circulates among groups of people who are variously interrelated in open relationships. But it's a spiritual practice that requires a certain effort. What I call is a ring of fires, rings of fire. It's like rings of fire when you reprogram yourself. And initially it's very simple, like, your partner goes to the movies with another friend that they really like. But then you go much further, and every time there's a bit of a ring of fire where your ability to process this emotion is tested. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it certainly does. Thank you.
Okay.
Robert Heinlein is the one who coined that phrase in Stranger in a Strange Land.
Yes. Yes, it's one of the foundational tests of polyamory, Stranger in a Strange Land, Robert
Written in
Heinlein.
what year?
70s, I think.
Oh, it knows?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the
65.
year. Okay. I don't know a whole lot about him, to be honest. fiction, and I have been attracted to science fiction to write about polyamory because I think you have to go to that realm. Yes, there's a question back there.
Do you believe that polyamory is a natural progression where our species is heading, or do you think it's something that is a choice that some people just work with better than others?
What a good question. I prefer not to position myself because making a determination would require knowledge I don't have. I'm not a biologist. I do believe that inclusive love is a superior form of love because it recognizes love as a force of nature that we need to nurture. And the more we love love, the more love becomes abundant. Why would love stay if it's not loved? You see, and then if instead we want to capture love, we want to commercialize, possess, make it into a commodity, it will go away. And that will create a scarcity of love. And scarcity of love creates fear. And fear creates hatred. So I believe that we really need to, at this time especially when we don't know what our future is, we have endangered our environment in significant ways, more than ever before, that we really need to focus on this cosmic energy and making it stay with us. And the only way to make it stay and make it abundant is to accept that it is a cosmic energy, that we can't box it. You know, if you box love, it dies. So and then you have a dead love. What are you going to do with that?
So you feel that monogamous people are putting love in a box by putting all of their resources into one person?
No. No, that would be a mistake. I don't really feel that there is a dichotomy between monogamy and amorous inclusiveness. I prefer amorous inclusiveness to polyamory because polyamory has certain specific connotations that are not absolute. You know, it's like an incarnation of amorous inclusiveness is polyamory. But amorous inclusiveness was not invented by polyamory, and it's not new. What I believe is that if you think of mathematically, okay, the number 1 is the first number in a series of numbers that goes from 1 to infinity. Okay, so monogamy is an instance of polyamory or amorous inclusiveness. Sometimes monogamy is spontaneous. You know, there are times when you really want that monogamy, there's a convergence of energies, and there's nothing else, that the rest of the world disappears. When monogamy becomes institutionalized, then it can cause a lot of trouble as the only form of love, or the form of love that's believed to be superior. Again, you know, that's a sort of very, very anthropocentric. Yes?
Is it true that you and Beth Stevens are putting together a collection of ecosexual writings? Did I hear that right?
Oh, thank you so much, Terry. I wanted to mention that. It's, yes. In fact, the title of this talk, Ecosexuality, the New Orgasmic Revolution on Planet Earth, is the title I hope to have for this anthology. We are putting together a collection, a miscellaneous collection. It could be really a personal narrative, it could be a poem, it could be a report from the field, an essay that's related to the theme of ecosexuality and any of its ramifications. It could be, if you're a presenter, a summary of your presentation. The call for papers is on the website. When you go under one of the menus, you find call for papers. And also, I hope that the organizers will facilitate a way to distribute the call for papers to the participants. Because we really want a groundbreaking anthology with all kinds of writings. We don't want something academic. We want something that includes ecosexuality in its widest possible forms of expression. So, we really hope that from this symposium, from this event, we will muster the energy to get this off the ground. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
human nature and a sexual nature not being, or sex not being at all disparate. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Human nature not being our sexual?
Well, I mean, our human nature is sexual nature. Can you talk about that and how if we recognize that, how much more we're in connection with nature?
Yes, thank you. Yes. Well, there are different ways to express that linguistically. I have to say that personally, I find that sometimes the word sexuality is overused. So I will play a bit of devil's advocate in addressing your question, okay? Sexuality is an invention of modernity. Sexuality was invented as a concept to rescue erotic and amorous expression from the wastebasket of sin, okay? So, and to sort of move that whole area of knowledge under the aegis of science, which sort of saved it from the moral condemnations that it was subject to prior to the Renaissance and then the modern age. So that's how we get the word sexuality. In the ancient languages, there is no word for sexuality. There's words for sex, but not sexuality. So it wasn't studied as an object of study of a science. It was considered an art. If you read Ovid, if you read Plato's Symposium, you know, love was taught as an art, and a part of that expression of that love, or part of that artistic expression of that love, was sexuality. That's why adult men in classical Athens went on a retreat with young men for 2 months alone to teach them the arts of loving women. The initiation was always done from people different generations but the same gender, because it was easier. It's easier to explain, you know, hands-on. You have the same plumbing, so it works much better. Okay, so I want to distance us a little bit from this idea that sexuality is something that exists. Sexuality is a cultural construct. Almost everything that we know as sexuality could be considered the art of loving. Okay, but this said, it's also very important to take the other path and say, then, why is sexuality only genital activity? I can have a body orgasm. I can have orgasm while giving birth to a child, right? So it is extremely important to also see the orgasmic nature of life. Life can be orgasm from birth to death. And I want to refer again to another major, very significant video by Annie Sprinkle called Orgasm, which is really what inspired my title, where you have a series of episodes, and it really shows that every moment in the arch of life of somebody could be an orgasmic moment, including that. There's a scene with this woman who is a midwife for death and helps this person pass and exhale the last breath in an orgasmic way. So yes, it's very important to blur this demarcation between, you know, genital equal sexual, and then everything else is non-sexual. It's just completely wrong. Everything is sexual and or the expression of the arts of loving. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. Any other questions?
I have one more if no one else.
All right. Go ahead. Yeah.
Tell me about the experiment. Let's experiment. What do you suggest? What do you suggest for our future as experimenters in this?
What I suggest for our future as experimenters? Yes, I have a suggestion. First of all, really to re-eroticize nature. I think that mainly as a result of the fears, especially fears of infection, that have affected a whole generation of practitioners of love, the practices of love have become confined to enclosed spaces. I lost my virginity in a park. I'm very proud of it. And many women of my generation, we've had the same experience. We smelled the grass, and as we were losing our virginity.
Giving it away.
So I was too tall to lose it in a car. A lot of people were doing it in a car, but just my legs were just too long. natural world as a space for amorous and erotic expression, to not be ashamed to embrace in the forest, you know, to really re-eroticize these spaces, both as spaces that where human to human can express love, but also expressing love to the spaces, as happens in these weddings, or tree hugging, or other forms of expression of eroticism with the elements of nature. But then there is also another aspect. We humans are nature, and our bodies have their own ecology. They are mini ecosystems. So how can we really honor that, you know, if love is the ecology of life, how can we honor the ecology of our own body systems? Okay? Treating our bodies with respect, giving these bodies the love they need, the kinds of foods that they need, the kind of amorous expression that they want that is beneficial to them, not abusing them, you know. And this doesn't mean that certain acts, certain sexual acts would be better than others, or that certain styles of love, like monogamy or non-monogamy, would be healthier than others, but simply honoring that ecology, understanding it, and giving it what makes it healthy and vital and vibrant, respecting our body ecologies. That's my recommendation. And that applies to everything, you know, from food, to the kinds of condoms that you use. What effects do they have on your mucus, etc. So there's a whole realm of ecosexuality which really focuses on consuming products